this heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
Hey, Eric, check it out. It's my new car.
Yeah? What kind of car did you get?
1992 Plymouth Sundance, baby. Woo! Isn't she sexy?
That's a pretty bad car, buddy.
Why don't you be careful what you say about my lady? She's real sensitive.
I once had a 92 Cutlass Supreme.
I don't want to hear about your whore car. Was it your actual car? Is a Cutlass Supreme?
Yeah.
Is that your first car?
Mm-hmm. You never forget your first car, Ben.
Because Plymouth Sundance was my first car also, a 1992 Plymouth Sundance. That was my actual first car. Had a rust streak over the top.
It didn't repair itself?
No, I lost a bumper. It was red, and I lost a bumper and had to have it replaced with a blue bumper, so the colors didn't even match. It was a real piece of shit, but she was mine.
Did you give it a name?
I don't think so.
Was it a she?
Sure. Was it yours?
No, mine was, it was gender neutral. We didn't have pronouns for my car.
Only one thing's better than car, and that's podcasting. We're talking Christine on the Pod of Dreams.
She is seductive. She is passionate. She is possessive. She is pure evil. She is Christine, a 1958 Plymouth Fury, possessed by hell. Her previous owner is not alive to warn her present one. Once she lures you behind the wheel, you will be hers, body and soul. There is no place you can hide, no place you can run, and nothing you can do can stop her. Because how do you kill something that can't possibly be alive? Christine. Body by Plymouth. Soul by Satan.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Pod of Dreams. If you listen, we will pod. I'm Ben with Eric, and today we are talking about 1983's Christine, directed by John Carpenter. Now, before we get into this movie, Eric, one of the first things it starts off with when we're introduced to the titular Christine, the song Bad to the Bone by George Thorogood plays. But it shows us that this took place in 1957, or whenever it was in the 50s. George Thorogood's Bad to the Bone didn't come out till the early 80s. Did you see this and you were just done with the movie from there when you heard this music?
No, they aren't listening to Bad to the Bone. We are. It's score. It's score
Okay.
for the score is different than characters listening to the music. I see what you're saying. That it would be a time issue, but if they had on the radio. By the way, I fucking love the way this movie starts. You just hear the roar of the engine, just and then fucking fades in, and Bad to the Bone starts, and we're in Detroit building this car. What an incredible way to start a car monster movie. But yes, I see what you're saying. I think they get around it because I think the music is basically score.
Okay. No, I love the intro too. I mean, the song is great. I don't have the same. I can be a little more loosey-goosey with stuff depending on how the movie's trying to be. That seems, it's not trying to have the music be on the radio. It's character development. We see that we don't know Christine. Not a spoiler, is the demon car at the heart of this movie. She was just born that way, bad to the bone from the day she was born.
I will say there is a running timer where it has the dates and the years. We didn't need that. I don't know why that is.
Later on it shows us it's November.
October 1st. Yeah, it's like why do we need to know what date it is? Is that important?
I think they wanted to. We'll get into it. But I think they wanted to show us the main character progressively getting worse because the pacing was off and awkward. I think, but I think that was a solution.
There's a lot of time jumps. It does skip time. Maybe that was they probably did some test screening. People were like, I was confused on when this was happening. So they put dates in.
I think so. I mean, I think it was trying to. There's a problem that I think it's trying to address, but it is awkward. We didn't really need it. But yeah, no, I'm with you. You see the assembly line, see guys working on it. You get introduced to Christine the car, right away. You just know that she's inherently evil, basically, because you hear the bad to the bone. She smashes a guy's hand and kills another guy, and then cuts away, and that's it. And that's what we get for Christine. And that's great. That's what we need. It's an incredible way to start the movie. It works great. And I want to say, literally everything with the car is great in this movie. The car looks incredible. When it's on fire and running the guy down,
incredible
great.
Shit. Yeah.
When it's trying to squish the guy who's in like a little alcove or whatever, I don't know what that is. Looks great. When it reassembles itself after it gets destroyed, it's great. The car is great as a character. And it's great as a metaphor too. I mean, we're gonna get into the plot a little bit, but the car is gendered as a woman, and it is a woman. And you can read a lot of these scenes as if the car were a woman. We see a guy checking under her hood, and it's like the guy's got his hand in her skirt, and she smacks it away. Another guy goes into her, and the radio plays, and are you going to be mean, or are we going to be together? And he flicks, the edge of a cigar off, flicks it off into, the cab of the car, and that guy ends up dead. Functionally, the car is like gang rape later on, and she gets revenge against the guys that raped her. At one point, she tells the character he can't come in, and she's unavailable to somebody else, and it works as this metaphor, and it's just incredible. Every sequence with the car is great. We can talk more about why that's great, but for me, Eric, what I was disappointed was basically everything that wasn't the car. I thought was much less than great. I thought a lot of it was downright bad. What do you think about the non-Christine parts of the movie Christine?
So I love Stephen King. I love his books, and he does spend a lot of time with the characters. Relationships are always important. There's always things about like the parents and the family and friendship, and I loved the buddies, like the two friends. I loved how it's like it didn't make sense, like why this jock guy was friends with this dweeby guy. They didn't even explain really why. But they're just best friends, and like, who cares? It's a kind of interesting relationship to see in a movie. You never see like a high school movie where these kind of opposite guys are buddies. And I thought the high school stuff worked. I think where it falls apart is just the Arnie guy. He's character. The worst part. Yeah,
there's a lot of
ruins
acting
the movie a bit. Yeah,
because he's in so many scenes, and he's not good. He wasn't really convincing as the nerd. He wasn't convincing as the nerd gone evil. And the writing isn't great either for a lot of his lines. I mean, I don't think some of the lines he's saying are all that wonderful either. But yeah, he never sold me on any of it, really.
But I love that like his parents are overprotective, and they haven't given him a chance to blossom and grow. And there was a lot of interesting stuff about that. And then, when he gets the car, it changes him, and he sort of gets possessed. But yeah, I just think that actor or the character, maybe it is the writing.
It's both, I think.
Failed the idea of the movie. But at its core, I mean, this should be a stupid movie. It's a killer car. Like, that's a dumb idea. This movie is way better than it should be. It has no business being as good as it is, and that's Carpenter, I think.
No, I mean, all the stuff with the actual main character, Christine, is great. It really is. I love all that stuff. The music and everything about her as a character is incredible, but the problem is it takes the Arnie stuff. It doesn't play it for camp, right? So he's taking it seriously, and the serious car stuff works, but then the serious character starts to become slowly corrupted. It just doesn't work at all. The pacing of it doesn't work. Like early on, right? He confronts his parents, and at first he's got some good points, right? He's got overprotective parents. He just wants to buy a car. He's using his money that he saved up, and they're being kind of dicks about it. But even then, I wasn't sold on those scenes either. I mean, yeah, it should be when we're kind of rooting for him initially because he's getting his confidence.
Well, his mom was just I don't know what you think about that mom character, but holy shit, like she was nagging on the buddy, and he's only like there looking out for her kid, like to give him shit when he's like, hey, I told him not to buy the car, like that she would even ever think to give him crap. Like really frustrated me for some reason. It's like,
no,
this
she was
mom,
a jerk all the way through, and the dad was just kind of ineffectual and lame. I didn't love their performance either. I mean, there are a couple of performances in this movie I love, And then everything else I just think was bad. Because even the buddy I didn't like all that much. He's not as bad. Arnie's the worst. He's the worst performance, and his is the most crucial to the film. But I didn't love the buddy's performance. I didn't love
if
the
that guy's like
girlfriend's
Michael J. Fox or something, like this movie's a lot better.
Sure. There's probably a lot of people that could have done a better job. I mean, I saw on Wikipedia they debated whether they wanted unknowns to do it versus Kevin Bacon was offered it. It would have been better with Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon would have been great.
But he turned it down to do Footloose instead, which
Probably
it wasn't bad. Yeah, it wasn't a bad career move for him. Those guys just didn't sell. But I didn't like the buddy, and I didn't like the right. I mean, movies age. The gender politics in this are rough, and maybe that's part of the point, and there might be a critique there. But like the buddies call a woman a sperm bank at one point. Like, oh geez, 80s high schoolers. There's stuff about it I like just from a reminiscing standpoint. I mean, I love the era of movies where you want to show somebody is bad, they have a switchblade. I love that. There was a time in movies where you need to show somebody's a bully or a jerk or evil, give him a leather jacket and a switchblade, and that's it. He's a bad guy.
But holy crap, 80s bullies were something else, though, right?
He looked like he was 30. He looked like he should have.
Right.
He's failed high school
was.
12 years. Did not look at all like a high schooler to me.
But slightly. You think of Carrie is another example of high school bullies. That stuff was intense. I thought 90s high school experience could be rough at times, but holy shit, guys bringing knives and wow, yeah. I kind of like the bully guy. I thought
he's fun because he's kind of campy. When it gets campy, that's when I like it. If the human stuff was campier and sillier, it'd be more fun. But it takes it seriously, and that's where it's a problem. It's usually a serious psychodrama that I find myself just not all that interested in. And again, I don't want to pick on the poor main actor guy. I mean, I couldn't do any better, but it just wasn't great. I mean, there's just guys the owner of the shop that he keeps Christine at. This guy named Robert Prosky, who we'll cover Prosky later on in a different segment, but good character actor and tons of stuff. That guy's chewing the scenery.
Oh yeah, literally.
And the cigar he's chomping on, it's super entertaining. I'm not taking him as a serious person, really. He's kind of having fun. He's going for it, having a good time, and it works. That's one of the two performances I really like. It works. And then also the guy that was in Home Alone, the guy who sells him the car, who was
the neighbor in Home Alone.
Kevin McAllister neighbor. Yeah. Those are really the two performances I like, but then everything else gets confusing. Even Harry Dean Stanton, whom I love as an actor, he's great. He fell flat for me as the detective. What is the detective doing in this movie, Eric? He's investigating a murder. It seems like he's investigating a person murdered a person, but then in the end he accepts that it's a demon car. He's like, you did a good here, and then he helps them cover up the murder. I mean, what's happening with that character? It made no sense.
Well, and he doesn't show up until 15 minutes left in the movie too. He's movie's almost over by the time we even see him.
Yeah, we meet. He confronts Arnie once, or maybe once or twice, and then we see him at the very end. He's like, "You did good, kids." What? Dude, we didn't get that he was it'd work if he was. Oh, I think there's a demon car. My other cops don't believe it. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm making it up in my head. But there is a demon car. I encountered this before. That's not what we get. We get him I think you killed these dudes that fucked up your car. But then maybe he knows. It just, it threw me for a loop. And it frustrated me. Why is he in this movie? Why do we need him in the movie? What's the point of any of this?
Well, I mean, there would be police involved, right? The car starts killing people, and so I guess is the car? You keep calling it a demon car.
Whatever it is, I'm sure.
It doesn't matter at all, but is that what we're led to believe, that the car is literally possessed by a demon? Because it clearly affects Arnie. He starts getting possessed in a way. He becomes a different person. I know that's more of a metaphor for puberty and, becoming a man, I guess. I don't know.
And sort of psychological abuse and this codependency or something like that. He's in an abusive relationship and he's abusive to other people. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, we don't know what the car. I keep saying that phrase shorthand. You could call it a ghost car. You could call it a car that's sentient. I don't know, it can reassemble itself when it's destroyed. Although
that scene you already mentioned that I thought that was
incredible.
Amazing.
It is.
Amazing
I'm like, how did they do that? No,
I have no idea.
This is not CGI. This is just an incredible visual effect. It's just amazing to look at. And then there's another time we see the car literally on fire. They probably just set a car on fire. Like, man, that looks cool. That's why I say demon. There's flames, and it's red. But I don't know. Anybody wants to make up whatever hypothesis they want about what Christine is. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. To me, she's this very vengeful, angry woman, and justifiably so in some scenarios. She's treated really horrible by people. So it's just tough because I'm really conflicted about this movie. I wanted to like it so much more because there's so much part of it that's so incredibly great, but then it's just so bifurcated because there's so many parts that are just really bad. Why did the guy get hurt during the football game? Because he was looking at the car. Did the car hurt the guy?
No.
Is that what happened? I didn't get. He was like staring at the car as he was running a route.
Well, he's staring at Arnie because he's making out with this girl that.
And that's it. We don't have that relationship. Beautiful. Like, we don't ever see them tender together. We don't ever see them have anything. We see them making out, and then he tries to like have sex with her in the car at the drive-in when she chokes. There's no pacing of their relationship whatsoever.
Well, and we don't even see Arnie like ask her out. Like,
right. That's just we need a scene where he's confident, and his confidence gets him a date.
Dennis asks her out, and she says no. She has a date, which you later learn is actually Arnie.
Right.
But there's no like gap between there. Like, wait, well, if you're Dennis, you'd be like, what the hell? Arnie fixed his car and now he's dating the hottest girl in school. Like, what is going on here? Like and as a viewer, you're confused as hell too. Like, wait, what? Who is it? Is that the same Arnie? What happened to him? It's just a quick snap, and I think that's maybe why they put the dates in, because I think you're supposed to believe that a lot of time has gone by. Right,
because otherwise, it's disjointed, and that's where I think like the pacing doesn't really make sense. We don't see him get worse incrementally, because at first we're supposed to kind of root for him, right? We're supposed to be like, hey, this guy needs some confidence. He's treated like shit, but he's doing the right stuff. He's being a good dude. But we get hardly any of that, and it's mostly he's just kind of a dick from the get-go, and he just kind of stays a dick. We have this final scene one of the last scenes where he's in the car driving with his buddy to a New Year's party, and they're drinking beer, and man, this scene didn't work for me at all. Like, I thought you liked beer, Eric. It just did not work. I mean, you know the scene I'm talking about where his friend's scared and gets.
Then he lets go of the steering wheel, and yeah.
I was like, this is just.
Then he's like totally gone. He's like totally possessed by the car.
But I didn't get that vibe. I mean, I guess so, but it didn't work, right? For me, at least. And in the end, does Christine kill him? Like, he dies? I felt like nothing for his character at the end. Like, it wasn't a tragedy to me. I wasn't, I guess, I was just like, okay, he's dead now.
Stephen King, that's the Stephen King thing. He always kind of flips the main characters where you're initially on their side, and then you kind of fade. And you kind of go back and forth. But he
never got me on the side. In this movie, I never got on his side, is what I'm saying.
In the beginning, you're on his. He gets picked on. It's not.
A little. I don't know.
I think the actor doesn't help because he's not a likable actor. He just seems like kind of a weaselly, like, yeah, get out of here.
You think he deserved it?
No. He just doesn't. He doesn't come off as you don't feel sorry for him, really.
Well, no, and you don't, because early on when like his friend's like, we need to get you laid, and he's going over women he could try to get laid with, like, she's got facial hair, gross.
Yeah.
And just being a dick. I guess he'll just jerk off. I was like, he seems like an incel or something. Like
he's kind of a dick to his parents too. I mean, they are to him as well. But so you picked this movie because it was leaving HBO Max and you hadn't seen it before. Yeah, well, sure, we can get into that. I mean, there's just gaps for John Carpenter. I mean, he has this run from like Halloween in 1978 to, you can cut it off wherever you want to, but let's just call it They Live in 1988. Maybe you stretch it a little further, where he's absolutely incredible. And there's just some gaps in that area. I haven't seen The Fog. I haven't seen Christine before this. Haven't seen, Prince of Darkness. Some other ones. I just wanted to see what was on Netflix for John Carpenter. It was this and Vampires, and this one was going to expire soon. I was like, I want to watch it. I like Stephen King too. Probably not as much as you do, I guess, but
he's got some stuff that's really creepy and good. And I had a Stephen King phase. Once upon a time, I read a bunch of his books. That's why I wanted to watch it. I mean, and I wanted to have one less gap in a director whose work I really admire. It was really the gist of it, and I thought it'd be a fun movie to talk about and watch. That was it. Nothing more complicated than the logic than that. But I mean, I gotta say, because disappointed. I mean, comparing it to some of the other ones, it's clearly not as good as. It's got so many incredible movies in that run. And this is just not an incredible movie compared to some of these other ones. And this isn't like an all-timer. You wouldn't say this is one of the 50 best movies of all time. Well, no. Maybe half of it is. Because I love the titular character. You kind of root for her a little bit. We see her murder the four bully gang who assaulted her basically and trashed on her and apparently took a dump on her. And she's sentient, and we see her. I guess she does murder the shop owner. That's like the worst thing she does. But I guess she just wants revenge for being violated by these dudes.
But it's interesting because Arnie doesn't kill anybody. He doesn't really do it because he's not driving the car.
He's not in the car for these murder scenes until the very end. Like, he's not there for the murdering of the four dudes. He's not there for the murdering of the guy that owns the shop. And I guess I don't understand what that guy's sin was. I guess he just went in the car. He wasn't supposed to. I mean, she lets him in. He had the shotgun. Maybe he was going to shoot. Felt threatened. But when he gets in, he's enjoying it. He's like, oh, this is actually a great car. Even though it's like all burnt and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this is a great car. He's like,
then it squishes him, right?
Yeah. Just bizarre. That was another cool shot. I mean, it was great, but I just didn't get it.
The deaths are really cool in this movie.
Oh, they're all fantastic. They absolutely are. But again, the showdown at the end is kind of anticlimactic. I mean, I'm glad the guy is able to hotwire a bulldozer. I'm glad that he has that skill set. Good for him. I don't know where that came from. He just can hotwire things. And he can drive a bulldozer. They have this plan to just have a showdown inside the garage. He carves be at this place tonight in Christine, which is cool. I like that. And then Christine was waiting the whole time, just waiting to pounce for just the right moment. Why didn't Christine attack earlier?
Good question.
Couldn't she have run them both over before they got in the forklift?
Or right there when he's, etching his, message into her. Why did just, go full blast on him and run him over?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the rules were when she's like reveals she's sentient, when she doesn't didn't make sense. But no, it was fantastic. The kills. It looks great. The chase where she's confronting, so she's following two of the guys who are driving somewhere, two of the bullies, the main one and then one of the cronies, and like she follows them and they try to go in reverse and she matches them reverse for reverse, and then he does the half donut or whatever into the garage. Stunts looked great. And it was like one of the things I just most remember, aside from the car reassembling itself, is just seeing the fiery car. The Plymouth Fury is the name of the car, just going down the road, running the guy over. It's like that really evocative imagery. It was just great. I guess I just wish I cared about all the humans around Christine more.
Yeah,
but I don't know. But now,
does Arnie actually fuck the car? Does he? Do we think he does?
If the movie had a little more guts, it would show that or imply that, I think.
Have you seen the movie Titane, the French movie?
I know of it, where a woman gets impregnated by a car.
That movie's bonkers.
You've seen that?
I have seen it.
Why did you watch that?
Because it won the Palme d'Or, and it was nominated for best. Maybe it wasn't nominated for best international feature, but I like creepy horror movies, like weird ass horror movies, and it is that. It is.
It wasn't too weird for you?
Oh, it was. I mean, it is out there. It's like Cronenberg weird shit, but I enjoyed it.
Okay. Yeah. See, to me, like if it sexualized the relationship, that would be a little more creepy and uncomfortable and unsettling in a way that would make the movie better, I think. I mean, you don't need to be graphic, just kind of imply something. I mean, that their relationship is progressing. They're getting serious. As we see him further get, subsumed by this. Why didn't Christine make herself look good before she got sold? He buys her and
Didn't find true love. Once she found true love, Arnie brought her back to life.
She's down in the dumps. Yeah. She's sad. She's just had a breakup, basically. She's grieving. And then he gives her love and then feeds life back into her. Okay. Mm-hmm. But does she kill Arnie at the end?
The glass, I think it was more of an accident.
Okay.
Then, wasn't totally fleshed out.
It's like it just didn't. Yeah. I guess he's supposed to be so far gone. Is he going to just live in the car at that point? I don't know. We just don't know. It's all pretty vague. But yeah, I would assume he did. But they're so in love, they would consummate their relationship. But who knows?
Yeah, that's how the spirit got in him. That was my impression. Do you have a favorite Carpenter movie?
My favorite is They Live. If you ask me the best, I don't know those movies' name, but everything about They Live works for me from beginning to end. I love every frame of that movie. It's entertaining, it's clever, it's smart, it's ludicrous, it's just fantastic. The satire works great. This movie is not They Live. It's not The Thing. It's not Big Trouble in Little China. It's not Halloween. It's not Assault on Precinct 13. I like that movie a lot better than this one.
This is better than Assault on Precinct 13.
Oh, you and I disagree on that, but we can get there, or if we're ready, we can dive into that. But I like Assault on Precinct 13 way more. That movie abandons logic pretty early and just goes for weird atmosphere.
As soon as the murder started, you're just insanity. Like, what is happening?
Doesn't do that. It commits to a psychodrama that is I don't care about. I never care once about it. Not really one scene. Just falls flat. But okay. So but anyway, Escape from New York is better than this. This is probably better than Escape from LA, sure.
No chance. Escape from New York and Escape from LA are like two of my favorite movies. I love those movies.
Okay, so Escape from LA is kind of dumb. It's entertaining because it's dumb.
It's so entertaining. It is stupid, but I love that movie.
Okay. Let's get into it. I don't think we're that far off on this movie, really, Eric. I'm getting vibes. You might like some of the performances more than I do. But I'm pretty much in love with all the scenes with the car, and everything else is like, oh, please get back to the car. What's your letterbox rating for this?
I give it, I think, 3.5. Like I said, it's a dumb idea, a car that kills people, but it works, and Carpenter is so skilled. There's like we talked about the introduction to the car. The camera moves in such a cool way, and how he films all of the deaths, the kind of different angles you're watching, the way he films the car. He's just a master at suspense. And is this a horror movie? I guess technically it is, but
it wasn't scary.
No, there's nothing really scary about it. But he just, and the score too. He does the music for the movie too. The
score's great.
Yeah, the synthesizers. He's an amazing filmmaker. He's one of the best ever to do it. And he elevates this pretty dumb idea into a cool movie. The metaphors are what we're talking about. I think that's kind of a cool idea. And maybe the actors, I think, are not great. That's the biggest complaint I have, is the performances of the main people. And then who are we rooting for? Who's the star of the movie? Is it the buddy? And then once he gets hurt, he's like kind of out of the movie completely. And then he shows back up, and you're left confused by, who am I rooting for?
Christine is kind of the star of the movie.
But she's also kind of the Jaws of the movie. You don't really see it all that much.
You don't, because she's dispensing justice. She's making choices. Jaws eats as an eating machine, right? She's not that. She's not just indiscriminately killing. From her perspective, she's killing for cause, I think. Again, people disrespecting her, grabbing her, touching her when she doesn't want to be touched, going inside her when she doesn't want that.
Only kills men.
Yeah, right? It's very sexual, right? I think you can view this as, it would work better if it made it more explicit that we care about Christine and what she's doing and why, or at least make it obvious that she's just killing bad people. It's more interesting to me. but instead we have to spend a bunch of time with Arnie. I'm like, I don't care about Arnie. You've not made me care 1 second about Arnie. He does elevate the material in terms of visually. It's and score. It's great. It's just it falls so flat outside of that stuff when it's the people. They just really are really, really dull and interesting, and it doesn't work to me.
The girlfriend wasn't great either. Like,
no, she's not.
Yeah.
It's like, and some of that's the writing. She has almost nothing good to do. She's like, oh, I care. I mean, just come on, make her a person. She's not a person. Most of these characters don't feel like people, and they just had to fill the time because we spent too much time with the car. I don't know. People wouldn't like it as much. I don't know. I mean, for me, I put this at 2.5. I love that 2.5. I love so much. Maybe you could get me to bump it up to a 3 just because parts with the car work so well. But everything outside of it is, to me, just genuinely really bad. I mean, if John Carpenter wasn't doing these visual effects and making it work as well as it possibly could, this would look like really bad B-movie schlock. I mean, the acting, you'd be like, oh yeah, these are like people in a B-movie. This isn't like a mainstream studio production. It just seems that bad to me. The non-Christian.
It's got a little Toxic Avenger feel to it, in that way.
Sure. But that's a movie that's going for comedy, and this plays the drama straight. And that movie's having fun with tropes. This movie's just, isn't it sad what's happening to this guy that you don't care about? And I go, it's not sad. I don't really care. Get back to the car killing people, please. Find more reasons for the car to kill. That's what I care about.
Yeah, I mean, the Stephen King adaptations, it can be a little rough. Like, I love Carrie. I think Carrie's a great movie.
Oh, it is. It is, yeah.
The original It, I think, is pretty terrifying. At least it was when I was a kid.
I was a kid. I mean, we saw it at the right time. I think if we had seen that for the first time as adults, I don't think it would have landed so much. But I saw that when I was like 11. That fucked with me up.
The Shining, I think the movie is 1,000 times better than the book, which is rare for film adaptations. But that movie is way better than the book.
What do you think about the miniseries that Stephen King directed or whatever in the 90s?
Didn't watch it.
Okay, because didn't Stephen King not like Kubrick's The Shining?
Didn't like it at all. Yeah, I think
he took a bunch of liberties. Yeah. Like, this isn't. You got the story wrong.
It's not. The book is more like a superhero, kid with this like Professor X ability, and it's like, no, that's not what the movie is at all. And I really like the movie a lot more.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean his material, like Dead Zone, that movie, that Cronenberg, right? That's a Cronenberg movie. Not a great film. Love the book. Not a great film. His stuff's just hard to adapt, I think.
Well, like Children of the Corn. What do you think of that movie?
That's one I haven't seen in a like little kid blockbuster. Is the last time I saw that movie. It's been a really long time. Same with like
as a kid.
Oh yeah. Pet Sematary, same thing. Like I haven't seen that since I was a little kid. But this movie's I think better than those.
Sure, I mean it's one of the best Stephen King adaptations. But to me, I think most Stephen King adaptations aren't great as far as
Misery's phenomenal.
Misery's better than this.
I love that book and I love that movie.
Yeah, Misery's better than this. Sure. So Shining and Misery, but definitely better than Christine. This is one of the better. I guess if you're talking like Possessed, like. Maximum Overdrive is terrible.
Yeah, that's another Stephen King. What is his deal with vehicles? Does he have a thing?
I don't know. I mean, he's done everything. I mean, like any kind of horror concept that he can explore, he's done stuff about it. And there's probably a bunch we're missing. I've never seen Salem's Lot. Maybe that one's good.
I have that book. I haven't started it yet. That's one of his I haven't read.
I like The Green Mile. I like the books, and the movie's kind of nice. It's not amazing. Isn't Shawshank Redemption based on a Stephen King thing?
It's a short story. Yeah.
Sure. And there are probably more Langoliers and stuff I've never seen. Storm of the Century. Some of it just gets goofy.
Guy's written so many books. Like The Running Man is a Stephen King book. Like
I didn't know that. Wow.
Okay. He had the different name. He switched his name.
Was that I can't remember the name.
Wrote under euphemism or
yeah, I can't remember what the pen name was they wrote under, but yes, that's right.
I have it. Whatever. I'm not gonna look for it. I have it
It's
over
fine.
there.
Not that important. I could Google it too, but I'm not going to. So yeah, I mean, it can be one of the better ones, and maybe you could talk me into this being a 3 just because the visual effects and so many parts of this movie work so well. But we just spend a lot of time with human characters that I think are poorly written, poorly acted, uninteresting. They don't further the plot in any kind of meaningful way, really. They just take up space, basically.
I think the first half of the movie is really good. That to me, like, I did kind of, my brain drifted after the bullies get killed. Then it's like, I know that's towards the end of the movie, but once his buddy gets hurt, I think from that point on, the movie just kind of drifts a bit.
Totally fair. I mean, I don't think I like the intro as much, but yeah, I was kind of there for the first act. I was like, all right, he's bullied. This looks interesting, and the Arnie drama just fails miserably. So yeah, this is the most disappointed I've been in a movie I've picked, I think, thus far. I really wanted to like it more because so much of it is so incredible, but they really needed to make different choices with the human portion of this. And I don't know, you make it campy and silly and fun. That could work. They didn't do that. They took it seriously, but then they didn't have actors who could land it, and the writing it was tough. So, I'm glad I watched it. I won't be itching to watch it again anytime soon. I will be a ton of other John Carpenter movies much rather watch than Christine.
Do you want to do your 5 Degrees of Field of Dreams?
Yeah, let's do it. So I talked about Robert Prosky, and there's a couple Robert Prosky earlier on because he to me he's getting the tone of this material right. This is what I wanted from that movie. He's like just yelling about kids like, you damn kids.
But there was a little tenderness to it. He actually did kind of like Arnie. And kind of he understood, hey, you obviously don't have a lot of money, otherwise you wouldn't be in this shithole. Like, right, okay, you can work here, maybe I'll pay you a little bit. But then Arnie's just such a little dink about it. He's like, well, let me think about it. I don't know, maybe I don't want this job. And the guy's like, get the fuck out of here. I'm letting you raid my junkyard for free and keep your junky car here. And you got to think about whether or not, you're going to work around here and I'll pay you. Like, That was another one of those things. It's like, am I supposed to hate this guy, Arnie? Because he sucks.
He's never likable. I mean, you empathize a little bit with him being bullied, a little bit, but I wasn't convinced he was a nerd. It didn't ever work for me. If he went, yeah, no, you're right. He's very unlikable all throughout the movie, and it's just like, I just don't care. This guy's just kind of a dink. Gotta go away. Why is Christine into this guy? I don't get it. What does she see in him? Just that he's a pushover and she can do what I don't know. But anyway, Robert Prosky was my favorite non-Christine part of the movie. And he's just one of these guys. You've seen him in tons of stuff. He's in so many movies as this character guy. He had a lot of he's in Last Action Hero. He's in Mrs. Doubtfire. A couple of ones that I saw as a kid. Miracle on 34th Street. He's in Broadcast News. He's in a bunch of stuff as this character guy. People have seen him. He's also in Gremlins 2, The New Batch, when was the last time you watched that movie, Eric?
It has been a while. I've definitely seen it many times. We watched a lot of Gremlins. Yeah.
That is an insane movie.
There's a great Key and Peele sketch about the development of Gremlins. Check it out. Google Key and Peele Gremlins 2. And it's like, the guy's just throwing ideas at what kind of gremlin you want. Like, oh, should we have a gremlin that's a lady with big lips? Yep, make it. Put it in there. It's just they keep suggesting the craziest, and they're actual ideas from Gremlins too.
Yeah, it is. The more you learn about how movies, you're like, it's crazy that a major studio greenlit this movie, gave them a ton of money to do that. Like, it's so bonkers. Like, at one point, like, the film rips and Hulk Hogan yells at you, like, put the film. It's just a bonkers movie. But anyway, he plays this guy who's doing. He wants to be a serious anchor, but he's doing some like old horror movie show in this, like, what was the early 90s version of like a Trump Tower. There's a Trump guy in there, and he ends up getting to be a reporter because it's ludicrous. Just like everything in the movie, he's ludicrous, but he's great. He's fantastic in it. Christopher Lee is also in Gremlins 2 as the this guy who has all those weird genetic things and creates all the weird gremlins, including one made out of lettuce, and the spider one and the bat one, and he's great. It's a genetic lab that has office space in this crazy high tech building. Christopher Lee did, speaking of old horror, he worked this old British movie studio, Hammer Horror. He did a bunch of movies for Hammer Horror with Peter Cushing. I went with Dracula. He did a version of Dracula in the late 50s. But there's a bunch to choose from.
Is Wicker Man in that group? He's in Wicker Man.
He is in Wicker Man. I don't know if Wicker Man was made by Hammer Horror. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. Some horror nut will tell me how wrong I am, but not that I'm aware of. I think that one was different, but he's in a bunch of these. Wicker Man was a little too serious about it. There's an element of like silliness to some of the stuff that happened in the late 50s. But anyway, Peter Cushing is in it. Peter Cushing played Grand Moff Tarkin in a little movie called Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. This is a new hope, not an old hope, not a languishing hope. And James Earl Jones is in that, who was in Field of Dreams. So there's my 5 degrees. How about you, Eric?
Nice. I also went with Robert Prosky. Prosky.
That's how I'm pronouncing it. Yeah.
He's in a phenomenal movie, Thief. Is it Michael Mann's first movie? Love that movie. He plays the kind of the fence or whatever. He's the gangster guy that makes James Caan have to have another job. And so I picked James Caan's also in Thief. R.I.P. Sure. James Caan, recently deceased.
Yeah.
He's in a movie I just watched called Killer Elite.
That sounds terrible.
It's a Sam Peckinpah movie from the 70s.
Oh, okay.
I didn't love it. It was tough. It was a tough watch. I had a hard time getting through it.
I appreciate you trying to watch older movies on your own. This just makes me so happy. Killer Elite sounds like a shoddy Netflix production to me. Like you just see some low budget action.
I think there's
Killer
been
Elite.
a remake of it, but yeah, it does sound like a Netflix movie.
Killer Elite with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, and Peckinpah is he's a good filmmaker.
Wild Bunch is great.
Wild Bunch, yeah, for sure. Robert Duvall is also in Killer Elite, and he's in a movie called Open Range with Kevin Costner.
Sure, okay.
He's in Field of Dreams.
Lovely.
So there's that. Should we get into some trivia for our next movie?
What are we watching next? I want to know.
Okay. All right. So again, just kind of going over. I'll give 5 sort of hints or clues to our movie for next week, and Ben's gonna make a guess, see if he can get it. All right. Clue number 1: this movie was released in 1993.
Okay.
Probably doesn't help.
No.
It was directed by David S. Ward. Is the director's name?
Okay, it doesn't help me. I'm not familiar overtly with David S. Ward's.
He wrote the screenplay for The Sting. He also directed Major League, the movie. So
oh wow, okay.
That's him.
Okay.
This movie stars Halle Berry.
Okay, okay, keep going.
Keep going? Alright, so 2 more clues. You might get it from this next clue. And this is a pretty cool clue. So this film was shot on location at several American universities, including the University of Michigan and the University of Iowa.
Okay, I'm off. All right, that threw me for a loop. That didn't help me at all. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, last clue. I'll just read you the plot. Maybe the plot will give you this movie. Several players from different backgrounds try to cope with the pressures of playing football at a major university.
This is they're playing football at schools and they're stressed about it and it's tense and it's serious. It came out in 1993.
It stars Halle Berry. Omar Epps. It also stars James Caan.
I've got nothing.
The movie's called The Program. I thought, in honor of the football season starting, Ben and Eric are back at it again with the Pot of Rosedale. We're announcing it here. If you follow this, we're going to jump on, and there will be a few episodes of our Pot of Rosedale popping up. Let's jump into college football with the program.
Okay, I maybe I've heard the name The Program at some point, somewhere, at some point in time.
You've never seen this movie? You never seen it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking like Swordfish or something. I was way off. Okay. No, I wasn't even close. So, okay. Don't know what to expect with this. All right. Well, I guess it's time to get with the program, Eric.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, and take it easy, man.
All right, yeah. Later, everybody.